Here we are. Good morning, everybody. I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. My name is Dr. Felice Cellini, and this is our Sunday morning Why Wait for Recovery community meeting. You're on.
Good morning. My name's Haiti, and I am blessed and grateful to be in recovery. I'm a compulsive overeater. I am an emotional eater. I am a food addict. I also had bariatric surgery 2 years ago. And I'm a drug addict, and the most important thing about that is I'm in recovery.
And I'm a drug addict, alcoholic, anorexic in recovery on this Sunday morning. So God bless us all. And welcome to our meeting.
So we get together. I'm going to talk over
Okay,
you.
you go.
So we get together twice a week, Sunday mornings at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. We have people joining us from all over the states and all over the world. You can either live stream us on Facebook or you can watch us on YouTube. You can also jump into the conversation and hop into our waiting room, which is a virtual waiting room. If you go to sowhywait.net, click on the meetings, hop in, register, and it's free, and you can join in on the conversation.
And you can hop in, which is my favorite. Is hopping in. You can hop in with your bedroom fuzzy slippers. I love your slippers. So good morning, you guys. This month we're going to be talking about courage. And we talk about how courage doesn't mean that we're not scared. It means that we're scared, and that's what you're sharing this morning. So sometimes we're scared shitless, you guys. So it's going through what we need to go through eventually to overcome that fear. But it's okay that we're scared in the beginning. Change is scary, no matter whether we're making change from, we're changing or morphing into a better part of ourselves. It doesn't matter, because where we're at is what we're used to, and sometimes sitting comfortably in what we're used to is actually we feel more secure doing that than we do than mustering up the willingness for whatever it is that we need to do to make that change. And so we're going to go ahead and talk about that today. Haiti and I aren't going to share too much this morning because we want to hear from the people that we didn't get to hear from last time. So Jess, good morning. I'm going to go to you first. How are you?
I'm okay, I think.
Okay, let's talk about some courage. You want to share about courage today, or did you have something else you needed to share about?
Yeah. I suppose I could start with yesterday, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. Since I've started trying to get abstinent, and I'm pretty certain I've done the best I can. The trouble is, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I sort of want to go back to basics. So, yeah, yesterday was a difficult day because I was with two close friends. Normally when I walk into a supermarket, and this was even last week when I walked into a supermarket and gone down an aisle, I've been absolutely fine. Yesterday, however, when I walked down the aisle, saw all the nice things, like all the chocolate, sweets and rubbish, and I just
They're not nice things for you, by the way, but okay.
No, yeah.
All your poison. That's like me walking down the liquor aisle and saying I saw all the nice things. I saw the tequila and I saw the rum, and those aren't nice things for me. So you saw your trigger foods, because we're going to learn how to speak right in recovery. So perfect. So you saw your trigger foods.
So for me, it was that thing of, there was that thing of, oh, I fancy a bit of that. And then I was just like, well, hang on a minute. I can't, if I was to have that, I can't do it in small amounts. If I have a chocolate bar, it's the whole packet, the whole thing. So it's that thing of, for me, it was like, well, no, I don't want to go there. And it's quite interesting because my friend just looked at me in a funny way and sort of said, we shouldn't be taking you down this aisle. And I'm thinking, well, I've chosen to walk down this aisle.
Fair enough.
So it's that thing of taking responsibility rather than just saying, well, yeah, it's your fault sort of thing. So yeah, and I'm sort of pleased in a way that yesterday I still didn't, even with that situation, I still didn't pick up.
So
and that for me is progress. So
so a whole lot of progress here. First thing that I think it's most important that you said was I choose. Right? They said I shouldn't have taken you down this aisle, and you said no, that was my choice. And so one of the very first things that we're going to learn as we step into recovery is that picking up the drug or picking up the food or making ourselves vomit, those are choices that we make, right? Even though sometimes we allow our brains to go by themselves, right? It's still choices that we're making. And so we clean up the receptors, and then we're in a place where we can make that choice. So good job you, but better job you for understanding that it was your choice. I really commend you for that. Good work, Jess.
I just wanted to also add on something. So Jess, when she was struggling, she did reach out to someone, which is awesome, which is what we do as addicts when we're serious about our recovery. Instead of going it alone, we reach out to our community so we can get additional support. And for new people who are joining us, what sets us apart as addicts is we have this obsessive thinking. We have these thoughts that don't stop. So the minute we start thinking about something, we can't stop, and they amplify it and they continue, and it becomes an obsession, and it's all that our mind is focusing on, and we lose out on other things that are happening around us, which is essentially life. So that is where, if we pick up those things that we're allergic to, and it doesn't matter what it is, because in our room, in our waiting room, it doesn't matter if it's drugs, alcohol, gambling, cigarettes, anything that makes you compulsive and obsess about it, which defines you as an addict, then this is a place that we belong, and we discuss those struggles and how to get through them.
Yeah, and again, we will learn, thank you, Haiti, and we will learn, yeah, we're talking about obsessive thinking, and I love that you call it an allergy. So alcoholics say, I'm allergic to alcohol. Every time I drink, I break out in handcuffs. And so it's something that we're doing, that we're having some kind of negative reaction. We all know it's not an actual allergy. For some people it is, right? Some people are actually allergic to weed, but it's something that triggers that mental obsession, that compulsion and mental obsession in our brain. That our brain doesn't understand what one is. Like you said, Jess, if I could have 2 squares of a piece of chocolate and that's my day, and then in 3 days I want to have, a bite of, that's different. But your brain doesn't have that. We have no conception of what that means, right? So that's like thinking that the alcoholic can have 1 drink, or that I could eat 10 milligrams of an opiate. Like, what universe does that happen in? Just doesn't happen for us. And so that's why we're here. Otherwise, we'd be at the beach on Sunday morning in Florida.
And the other great thing, though, the other lesson that I learned from this as well is, we have these thoughts, and when I was in active addiction, my thoughts were calls to action. So those cravings led to different actions. I was acting on impulse, which was really not even thinking stuff through or processing it. I was just picking up no matter what, because that's what I kept doing when I was in active addiction. So because we get cravings and we get these thoughts, they're just thoughts. It's being able, when we start getting strong in our recovery, we start realizing that they are thoughts, and thoughts come and go, and we have millions of thoughts every single day, and they don't necessarily have to be a call to action. And as we get stronger, it becomes, I'd love to act on them, but I know what it takes me. I've done enough research to know how it ends up.
Yeah, you guys, and so to put it so simply, okay, so I want new tires for my car, and I don't have an extra $1,000, so I'd really love to be able to walk into, the bank and just like hold somebody up and take $1,000. So that could be a thought, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna act on it. Just because I still have my drug dealer's telephone number in my phone doesn't mean that I have to call. And just because I love that, because people say, well, you don't have to go to Publix. Okay, but every Publix has a friggin' liquor store in it. So really, I don't have to do nothing. You don't even have to go to Publix anymore. You could stay home and make a phone call and tell them to deliver your chicken and whatever, and vegetables, right? So there's nothing that you have to. Right? You have to breathe if you want to get through the day. Or you could choose to stop breathing and not get through the day. It's up to us. But so thanks for sharing that. That's right. They're just thoughts, man. Feelings aren't facts, and thoughts aren't always a call to action.
And just one last thing, because I know I'm hogging this time, but when you were talking about being with friends, in the beginning, I still am a people pleaser. That's one of the things that I work on. And I didn't want to stand up and advocate for myself in case I look bad. So I always had this feeling, I was saying, I can't join you guys when you go for dinner, whatever the story is, because I'm also an overeater. So besides having the food stuff, my part of my addiction is a compulsive overeating. I've got to eat everything, whether I'm full, I'm not full. That's part of my thing. So being able to turn around and say, this isn't working for me right now, thank you, I'll catch you later, or do something else. I was really scared of looking bad.
So what do we call that, boys and girls?
Ego.
Ego. Okay. So my ego is what I think your opinion of me is. And when I decide that your opinion of me is more important than how I'm thinking or what I'm doing, it's because I don't have any good opinion of myself. And so when I stop looking to you to validate my existence, and I understand that in recovery and in life, What I need to do, that's all I need to do, is show up and do my best to do my best. And if you don't like me, okay, that's okay. And if you like me, great. But that's not my intention. My intention is to show up, do my best to do my best, me personally, to be of service. Remember, you guys, too, when we talk about people pleasing, being of service isn't people pleasing. People pleasing is, I'm gonna have dinner for 800 people and they're gonna come over, and then when they leave, if only 760 of them told me how fabulous I was and 40 of them didn't, and then I'm obsessing about that, and well, I can't believe, and they came over and I invited them over, but you know, they didn't even say thank you and nobody helped me clean up and da-da-da-da-da-da. That's not being of service. That's me manipulating you into feeling a certain way about me or wanting to manipulate you to get a certain response. And that's not the way that it works. So being of service is me inviting you over because I want to see you and you leaving the way that you do, and that's it. So people pleasing is something that I do to manipulate the outside world to have a better opinion of me, and that doesn't work. Nor should I care, because Liz's opinion of me is only Liz's opinion of me. It doesn't make me who I am. Right?
Right.
Okay, so we're gonna keep that in mind for later, right?
Oh, I'm not even in that
Okay.
space. I'm in a different space.
Oh,
this
she's
year,
in a different
so-
space. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll work on her crazy after. Okay, who else didn't get a chance to share last time?
Sorry, there's one thing I wanted to.
We don't say we're sorry.
Ask if that's what.
I'm awesome, and? Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. You're awesome, and?
So yeah, what it was I wanted to also mention along with this was that although I'm trying to be abstinent, one of the things I'm noticing is that because I'm trying to be abstinent, I'm finding my portion sizes are all over the place. So I'm eating more of the better things as a result. So I'm sort of, that's where my challenge is now, is that fear of, well, now because I'm not eating the things I don't want to be eating, it's eating all the good things, but I've got no sense of portions or sense of, you know, what's the right amount for me because of my work situation as well.
So
because I'm very physically active, so.
We're actually gonna have a workshop about that. We're gonna have a separate workshop just about, we're gonna make it is about the food, just for one day, because you know how that makes me crazy when we say it's about the food. But a lot of it is about the food. If we're food addicts, it's about learning about portion control and learning about the dopamine receptor. And we're gonna go ahead and actually have a specific workshop for that. So we'll get into that more. Jess, I know there are people in the community that you could reach out about that. Can I binge broccoli? Yeah, I can. So yes, I can. It's not. But this is serious. Yeah. So we're going to be serious about this for a minute, because people who are bingers, Ange used to binge on cabbage, right? Where she could eat like literally like 10 heads of cabbage, so which would make her sick. So first of all, your brain's going to learn different things. That's going to take a little bit of time. Reach out to someone in the community. They're going to help you through that. And then, like I said, you'll sign up for the workshop where what we're doing is actually we're doing the, we're going to talk more about the food. Yes.
So actually, Jess has signed up for the 7-week, and included in the 7-week is she gets to take
Okay,
any
perfect.
of the additional workshops that are coming up. So that's included.
Yeah,
in what she's
perfect.
doing.
Yeah, we're going to do that also. So that's going to be in October, and we're going to get into that. So that's going to start on October
20th.
The 7-week starts the 20th of October.
Yeah, the 7-week workshop's going to start the 20th.
And all the others we're going to update on our website.
Because we have a website, a really cool website. So we're going to talk about that too, because I'm supposed to talk about that. But I'm going to ask Katie to talk about it because she knows about that. So you want to talk about it now?
So
We'll do it.
we're at the finishing stages of our new website, which is awesome because we've got our own forum and we've got everything that we could do elsewhere, but it's basically more contained, so you've got more privacy. My suggestion is when you do sign up with a nickname if you don't want people knowing who you are, and you can use your photo or another picture of your dog or whoever. But it's going to be we are going to be putting in, and we started putting in loads of resources, everything that works with that mind, body, spirit, so that when we're in recovery, it's the whole picture and not just one part of it. We're also going to ask people in our What's Eating You community on Facebook to actually help us with the beta testing. So you can give us some feedback. So within the next 10 days, we're going to be live. So I'm going to reach out to some of you if you don't mind. We'd love you to be of service if you can help us.
They never mind. Nance, how are you this morning? Good morning. I can't hear you.
There's you.
Can you
Yeah,
speak a little
Nance.
louder?
No, it's not. It's hers.
Okay.
Talk into your mic, love.
Speak into your mic, hon.
Okay. Sorry.
Don't be.
Somebody else will.
Awesome. No, we could kind of hear you. Do you want to share this morning?
I don't have anything to share about.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's good to see you this morning. And if you decide you want to share, like you know, pick your hand up and we'll call on you.
All right.
All right, Laura, you're on, baby.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, girly.
Hi. So, what's going on with me? This week has been a pretty good week, to be honest. I just noticed for sure that since I'm abstinent, what's happening now definitely is, so I'm about to say this after I just said, you know, this has been a pretty good week. I actually feel like I'm having a bit of a midlife crisis, meaning like I'm questioning everything in my life, like what I'm doing for a living, you know, just where I'm living, like all that sort of stuff. And yeah, but it's good. I'm okay. I really am okay.
Okay, so you're always okay. So we don't know whether that really means you're okay, but you're presenting like you feel okay. So that's good. And you know, and Laura, we talked about this too. And what happens, you guys, sometimes when we start making changes is our brain is like, okay, I've been sitting in this place for so long and now I'm starting to change. Is this really the place that I still want to sit? And part of that's going to be yes, and part of that may be no. And that's okay too. You know, at some point we wake up and we wonder really what our why is. Like we're in a certain place in our life and what is it that we want to present to the world? How do we want to be of service, right? How do we do our jobs and still feel like we're giving back to the community? Or how do we do our job and then do other things where we're giving back to the community? What are the things that I like? Because I've spent so much time getting high or isolating or just paying attention to, let's say, work, because I don't want to pay attention to anything else, because when I pay attention to anything else like myself, I'm scared shitless. And so once we start making those changes, it's okay that we're thinking about making other changes as long as it doesn't freak us out. And remember, again, we talk about how feelings aren't facts. So those feelings or thoughts that you're having, right, that doesn't mean that it's a call to action today. Just means that it's something to think about. You know, find out why we're here. Some of us are fortunate to wake up in the morning and say, damn, like I get to go to work today. You know, I get to do this for work. I get to see patients for work. Like I get to do everything that I love, I also get to do at work. So I'm super fortunate, and my hope for you guys is that that's part of what you find in your life as well, because it's an awesome place to be.
I wanted to ask you, Laura, how much clean time have you got?
I'm sorry?
How much clean time have you got?
Oh, I've been clean since April 14th.
That's awesome. So it's funny, we were talking about this yesterday, and I found my first year of recovery really difficult, especially those first like 6 months. And in the beginning, it was just really overwhelming and all these feelings. And the second 60 days in was just overwhelming. 3 months in, I don't know who I was or what I was. It just really knocked the confidence out of me because I'd been doing the same thing for so long that I had forgotten, and I just didn't know how to get back in touch with myself. And then I wanted everything else to change. And I made a promise to myself that nothing's going to change in the first year of recovery. I mean, I wanted to change husbands at one stage. I wanted to run away from the house. I wanted to change jobs. I wanted to do
That
all
was
this
like your
stuff.
first day.
Well, that was
All of those
worse,
things.
but it got worse after I started stepping out of my head and then starting taking everyone else's inventory, and it just really
And
got a
that
lot
works.
worse. So I get it, and for me that was a normal process. You know, I can just share where I came from.
Yeah, so we're usually pretty much all over the place, and that's okay. And that's all right. You know, part of being in recovery, fortunately or unfortunately, is getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Getting to the point where we're uncomfortable. And what's the first thing we want to do? And we have these conversations, right? Like I always say, you know, rehab would have been so much easier if I could have been high. Really, like the whole experience would have been so much nicer for me if I could have been stoned when I was in rehab, because rehab was really hard. And for some of us, the first time I was in rehab, I was in for 6 months. So getting through 6 months of rehab clean was a challenge at best. And then the second time I was in rehab, I was in rehab for 5 weeks. And again, you know, getting through rehab after a relapse and having to be clean and dealing with the guilt and the shame and all of that stuff after relapsing after 7.5 years, that was so much fun to do clean. But, so what's gonna happen is that all of these things are gonna come up and all of these feelings are gonna come up and we don't get to use. Actually, we choose not to use because we could use whenever we want to. So we choose not to use, and then it's us and those feelings. And again, I talk about this every time, but every negative feeling that we have is fear-based, right? I'm afraid of not getting what I want or losing what I have. And so we're walking around in a whole bunch of fear, a whole bunch of fear, a whole bunch of fear. And it feels horrible. And what do we want to do when we feel horrible? We want to use, man, that's what we do. And so it's learning to get through that without using, without binging, without purging, without starving ourselves, without picking up. So it's so much fun. And then it gets better. So, and I could tell by the way that you're speaking headspace wise, like a month ago, the conversation was a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
A month ago, it was like, if I don't do 6 Valium right now, I'm going to jump off a bridge. Like you were more like in that place than you are right now, just chatting about it. So good for you.
Thanks.
And thanks for sharing that, Laura, because we all feel exactly like that.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to call in Karen. Karen. Hi, Karen.
Good morning, good morning. You know, as you're talking about courage, I was thinking about that, and I think sometimes for me, and I've had a terrible time with acceptance, and that's what I'm working on, but they're so closely related, is to sit with the uncertainty and the just the confusion of what's going on, and having the courage to just sit with it and not try to fix it or make it like it used to be, or and I struggle with that, and I think that's part of acceptance. It's part of being courageous, maybe, but that's kind of what I was thinking about.
Yeah, and so, you know, so you're pretty wise, and I'm going to say that you speak beautifully, and I'm going to tell you that all the wise and all the beautiful doesn't keep us clean, does it?
No, not at all.
It doesn't.
Not at all.
And so, yeah, and so sometimes the harder that we are on ourselves, that doesn't keep us clean either, you guys. And so what keeps us clean is remembering when we're in a situation too, and we're gonna use, Karen, how much clean time did you have before you relapsed?
Oh, maybe a few months, maybe 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months is more than a few months.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, how'd that relapse feel, babe?
It felt pretty shitty.
Yeah.
And now it's like 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, you weren't
My
real.
name is Karen, and I've been clean for 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, and good job you. You know, and good for you for letting me know, and then for letting the community know, right?
That was hard, yes,
That was courage, my friend.
Yeah.
That was courage. You know, when you speak about adversity, when you're drowning in shame, for me, that's courage. So thank you for sharing that with us, and stay clean.
Yes.
Okay then. See how easy that was, you guys? I just have to tell you to stay clean, and then you're fixed. I just liked you.
It's like you get the recovery star.
You do. Well, you only get a half a star, I think, for 2 weeks. You get the other half a star after. Thank you, Karen. Really glad to have you back.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back.
Did we get to Liz last night?
No.
Liz. Hi. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Not really.
Yeah, I could tell.
So I found out earlier in the week that, so let me back up. I have not had a boss for the last, 5 months. She went out on maternity leave and then decided that she wanted to stay home with the baby. And so my company has been looking for a replacement, and I found out earlier this week that they hired one, and the new person is starting on Monday. So, yeah, so I mean, it's exciting, but it's also scary because I know that things are going to change, and it's a new person being added, and the team dynamic obviously is going to change, and it's just, like I said, it's just been kind of scary and uncomfortable, and my head has been kind of in the future all week, worrying about the what ifs. And, you know, I have reached out and talked to a few people and, you know, doing the best that I can. I've wanted to binge because of it, because I feel so uncomfortable, but I haven't. So that's where I'm at today.
So I'm gonna ask you a question. So you're living in tomorrow, which is a
Yeah.
fantasy that we're making up, right? It's a story that we're making up. First of all, because a meteor can fall on the world and maybe we're not gonna live till tomorrow. That's first of all, right? And second of all, you know, and I always tell you guys, if we're gonna make shit up, let's make good shit up. So if we're making up stories in our head anyway, how about if we make up, wow, you know what, there's gonna be somebody new and maybe things are gonna get easier and I bet she's gonna be awesome or we're gonna wanna have, you know, Diet Cokes together. Like I could make up that story too if I'm making up a story, as opposed to living in the fear. So what's the fear? Losing what I have or not getting what I want. Right? Not getting what I want. Ego says maybe she won't like me. So maybe she's going to be mean to me. Maybe she's going to want to change the way that I'm doing things. And I don't want to change the way that I'm doing things because I'm already doing things. She hasn't been here for 5 months and I haven't had a boss for 5 months. And you know, when I talk to the person, all of that chaos that we create in our own head because we're scared about something that may never happen anyway. So again, if you're gonna make stuff up, make up something fun. Make up something good. You know what, it's gonna be a great opportunity. I bet my job is gonna get easier. You know, I bet she's awesome. That's why it took them 5 months to find her. And then if you get disappointed, okay, you get disappointed. But in the meantime, you won't have to struggle and feel like using because you're afraid of something that may never happen anyway. Okay, so I want you to think about that. 90% of the things that we worry about never happen anyway. So we spend 90% of our thoughts in worry about shit that ain't gonna happen. Right? And again, what good does it do worrying about whether or not it's gonna rain? We live in today, we prepare for tomorrow. But we live in today. So if I'm worried about what's gonna happen on Monday, today's Sunday, it's your day off, you're missing the movie, right? Today is today, it's what you've got. Right now, this second is a given. 10 minutes from now isn't a given, Mamala. If you're gonna make up something that's gonna happen in the future, make up something nice for yourself. And if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. But do your best not to make up and I'm afraid, because you're taking away from your life right now, right? And that's how we miss the movie. We could even think about it, sitting at the movie, worrying about something else, right? Right, life is happening right now. What you're feeling is what everybody feels. It is. I mean, for some reason, it's the way, and everybody's shaking their head. For some reason, it's the way that as human beings think. And in recovery, we're gonna retrain ourselves to think a little bit differently, to let go of the what ifs because they don't serve us, to enjoy the day as best as we can. Karen, you talked about acceptance, right? Acceptance is the answer to those problems. I'm gonna accept what's happening now, and I'm gonna accept what's gonna happen in the future. And if it's gonna rain, let it rain, right? Worrying about it doesn't help. Making sure I have an umbrella, that's helpful, right? Worrying about it doesn't serve me. If it's gonna rain, it's gonna rain. Okay? And thanks for sharing, because what you're feeling, everybody, by the way, is shaking their head. What you're feeling, every single person goes through. So thanks for sharing so that other people could say, shit, like, yeah, like I felt like that 2 seconds ago about da-da-da-da-da. So it's really important to talk about, so thank you. Does anybody want to share about anything that anybody said today? Come on, you guys, you're a tough crowd this morning.
All right.
Okay.
I can relate to, I don't know her name, I'm sorry.
That's okay, just, I can relate, it's fine.
I can relate to the lady in the right bottom because I'm a librarian in a school, and there was a mother that is angry at me, and I'm not gonna get into details, but very uneducated woman, and now her daughter is gonna be in my group every single day.
Okay.
So I'm worried for the future because I know this mother is gonna have something every single day, and I can't stop thinking about.
Okay,
So
okay.
I can understand exactly.
Yeah, so stop it.
Yeah, but I already know this mother doesn't
No,
like me.
you don't. It doesn't matter. So if the mother doesn't like you,
But the kid is gonna run home and say.
listen, stop.
Right.
So first of all, here, we always have 15 seconds to tell me your problem.
Okay.
That's it. We could talk about the solution for 15 years. You got 15 seconds so your challenge is that you're worried about somebody else's opinion of you and what that challenge is going to present. The challenge is going to present whatever it does. Whether you worry about it right now certainly isn't going to change the challenge, right? So you're here at a meeting, take a breath, hang out at the meeting, right? What you're going through is what other people go through as well. And understand that as much as you stress about it, it's not going to change anything
No,
at all.
she's not, she's gonna be in the group.
Okay, so you're gonna let it rain, right? Just because you're here and you're giving me a hard time doesn't mean that I have to dance with you, right? So just because she holds her hand out in chaos to you doesn't mean you need to take her hand and dance. That's something else that you're gonna learn in workshop, okay?
So are you saying like focus on all the other kids and kind of?
I'm not saying that.
Not ignore her, but
Listen
just
to me,
kinda-
I'm not saying that. We're gonna talk about that more, actually, so that's stuff that you're gonna learn about. But, what I'm saying is that we choose to step into chaos or we choose not to. When you're sharing, you could say to me, you know what, Felice, you're a bitch, man. I hate coming here because I hate seeing your face. And I can get defensive and upset and da-da-da, and or I could say, thanks so much for sharing. That's up to me. I'm not gonna dance with you when you're like that with me. That's my choice. Remember, we teach people how to treat us. And so when I act a certain way, that's the way that I'm acting. That's the way that I present myself. So you learn to present yourself in a certain way, and whatever happens is gonna happen, right? You're not gonna change the universe. The only, they did a thing about the serenity prayer, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the one that I can, and the wisdom to know that that's me. I can change my attitude. I can't change what you're doing. That's it, right? That's it. So I can change my perspective. I can't change your actions. I can change my actions, and that's acceptance. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Because again, same thing. Everybody feels like that. Yes, Laura.
So Liz, when you were talking, I used to think all the time, and I still do sometimes, that if I ruminated, thought about something, that I was somehow going to be able to like think it all through, control it, make things happen. You know what I mean? Like figure it all out before it all happened. And then I realized later with Felice's that like what's happening actually is I make that thing that may never happen 20 times larger because I give it more time and attention than if I just left it alone and let it happen. So what I've been working on is I try to stop kind of when Felice says have a better story, is when I start noticing my brain, because my brain still does it all the time. It wants to go and work on that problem. It wants to figure it out. I literally try to catch myself and tell it like to stop, and then I pick another thought or something to think about instead. And it doesn't always change everything, like where I try to think about that story that I want it to be, because my brain still wants to go down the rabbit hole of what if, but it does help, because I noticed I'm learning to kind of retrain my brain to do something more positive. So it's just a thought. I just want to share it with you.
Very good.
It's my wisdom for you this morning.
So wise. Yeah, and so that's awesome. And so again, you're talking about really thoughts just being thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
They're just thoughts. It doesn't mean that that's going to happen. And so, sorry for anything here. So yeah, so they're just thoughts. And so, okay, so if somebody else walks into your world and they're having some crazy, that's okay. We all have our own crazy too. Doesn't mean I need to dance with you about it, right? Means that I can listen to you, let you know that I understand, and I can move on to talking to the next parent. I don't have to get crazy because you're crazy. You guys, I use the word crazy real gently and easily because I use it for me. So, although my shrink says I'm not supposed to, but, so I don't know, I'll figure out another word to make it, but you guys know what I mean though.
She's crazy. It's a mom.
You know what? And I'm sorry, but no, I'm not sorry. I'm awesome, and that's your opinion, right? Right? We all have opinions. The opinions are like assholes, they say, right? We all have one. So okay, so that's okay. And you judging her doesn't help your situation. So remember, when I can look at you and I could say, you know what? I bet you're in a tough place, and I bet you're having a hard time. And I bet if you weren't having a hard time, you would present differently. You would come from a place of kindness and a place of caring and a place of understanding. So I'm gonna feel for you. You guys, when they say if you're pissed off at somebody, pray for them. And I used to think, yeah, I'm gonna pray that they get hit by a truck. That's not what they meant. They meant hope that their life gets better. Because if they get happy, it helps a lot of it, changes the energy around them and the energy in the room. Not your responsibility, but it certainly can be your hope for them, right? And perhaps you having that hope for somebody else softens you up a little bit and allows them to approach you a little bit differently, hopefully. And if not, nothing lost, right? Thank you so much for sharing that. Guys out there, we're having technical difficulties, obviously, like Angeli's hand here. So, okay, so we're gonna go around this way. Hi.
Hi.
I don't know whose name I'm allowed to say though. How are you this morning?
Molly. Good. I'm doing good. I actually can empathize in a different way, but and also go along with the words of wisdom. I don't know her name.
Laura.
That she gave, but my ex is a trigger. For me. A huge trigger.
When you say a trigger, you mean trigger that it pisses you off or trigger that you want to use?
Oh, just all
All
way
the
around.
above. Okay.
All the way around. And so I've tried to, I try to make a break for myself because I'm easy to anger, real easy to anger.
So I want you to say, I allow myself
I do allow myself.
to get angry,
I do.
right? And that's a choice that I make.
Absolutely.
Say it.
I allow myself to get angry.
And?
Actually, if I read you my text back to him,
It's okay.
it was, it started with, he came by my house yesterday morning, unannounced.
You need to move.
No.
Okay, let's
No.
let's let her finish. Go ahead.
Not
She's
at
only
all.
got
No,
15
he
seconds.
needs to respect.
So, right.
And I
Okay.
need to not allow him to make me angry. I don't. That's,
Right.
And it's funny because I use Jesus take the wheel, whoever you believe in,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I make a break in my head so that I don't get to that point of she's crazy, she's stupid, it's gonna bother me, he's crazy, he's stupid. And I just stop myself. I make a break the cycle
Good.
kind of situation,
Good.
almost abusive wise, and I say, Jesus take the wheel. All of a sudden I breathe for a second and I'm like, what am I doing? Why is
Exactly.
the crazy taking over? And it is
Exactly.
crazy. I call it the green monster.
Same thing. Yeah.
At the end of the day, he didn't announce himself because he had his girlfriend in the car. He parked in Timbuktu, which I thought was hysterical.
Okay.
And then I said, what was that about? I texted him and said, what was that about? Are you okay? In all honesty, because I do care about the guy. Even though he does make me a little
Okay.
good. And, we have kids together. And I believe in coherent and
Okay.
trying to do the best thing for my kids. And he said, oh, I'm sorry that I made your morning a negative situation. Like, he put himself in power. I made your morning a negative situation,
And you felt,
and
because this is going to be about how you feel. So you felt.
Right. And I felt at first, holy hell, I was ready to rush that door and go, what do you do? Go out there gangster style and be like, oh, so you're saving somebody in the car to be rude to me and it was all about me, my ego.
Right.
That's
Right.
what
And
it
your
was.
self-centeredness.
Absolutely.
Right. Everything that's happening in the world revolves around me.
And so my reaction to that text took a lot to, Jesus, take the wheel. I'm like, put your phone down, walk away, go feed dogs, come back and go, you can't, and my text back was, you don't make my day negative. Only if I allow
So
it.
you got a power struggle with this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And you mentioned something really important. When we move a muscle, it helps us change a thought. So sometimes doing something different will take us out of the headspace
And I
that we
saw
were in.
that, yeah.
So I think Nancy
Yes.
also wanted to add to.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna let her. So, so that's awesome. And again, it's gonna be learning to hear, not to decide what somebody else means, right? You don't know if his apology was a power play or an actual the way that he apologizes, and you don't have to know. It's not about what he's saying; it's about the way you see it. right? He could say, sorry, da 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 da, and you could let go of the ego and say, thanks for the apology, next time favor, da 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 da, done. Right?
And that was the beautiful thing about taking the break. I was able to write a text that, I think you just like, did you read my phone?
No, I didn't.
I swear to God, did you
No,
read
it's
my
my
phone?
ESP. I got a degree in that too.
Yeah. But that's what I was able to do, whereas the old me would have just, every curse word and everything
Fight.
that could have,
Right.
yeah, I'm a fighter.
Right.
It's,
And
you
which
know,
gets
pull
you
the
where?
earrings off, start,
Which-
throw the
which-
chancletas and go.
Which gets you where?
And nowhere, absolutely nowhere.
No,
except
it
for
does.
straight
It puts you
me.
right in the middle of the dance. It gives the other person exactly what they're looking for.
And I think he was surprised that I didn't do it.
Perfect. And again, so we teach people how to treat us. And so when I'm stepping back, when you're putting up your fists in front of me and I'm stepping back and not accepting the dance, I'm teaching you that it's like when the baby has a temper tantrum. And you let the baby have a temper tantrum because it don't mean the baby's gonna get a new toy because the baby's screaming. It's like that with everybody, right? Let the baby scream it out, don't dance. Right, good job you.
Thank you.
Good for you. Miss Nancy, you wanted to share? Speak up, baby.
It was really about nothing, but I just wanted to say I watched 28 Days again, the other night, and I had forgotten what a great movie that was.
So,
And, oh, go ahead.
no, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, and that, first meeting was awesome.
Thank
It
you.
just- Everyone was speaking directly to me. It was, I can't even remember really what we were talking about, but it was a great meeting. And then I watched 28 Days, which was, really positive again. And,
So,
I just had a great week, so I just wanted to say that.
I'm so glad. You guys, in the movie 28 Days, when the tech or her therapist or whatever tells his story, and he says, if anybody knew what it felt like to be me, they'd use too. You would say that it's okay for me to use. Of course it's okay for you to use. Oh, I didn't know that's how you felt. That was one of the most important parts of the movie for me. You know, I know that some of you, I had 2 of you that I've spoken with privately say to me, but you don't understand how I feel, or nobody gets me, or nobody understands what it feels like to be me. We don't need to understand what it feels like to be each other. We need to understand that we all come from different places. You don't need to make your point about how you feel, because how you feel are your own feelings. And no matter how we're feeling, it doesn't give us the right to give ourselves the excuse to use. Remember, as addicts, we're going to look, our brains are still trained the way that they're trained. And especially in the beginning, we're going to think up what our God bless our brains, we're going to think up whatever they think up to give us reasons to pick up, which of course always turns out that we're punishing ourselves some more. But when he says that, you know, if you knew what it felt like to be me, you know, you would say, yeah, it's okay to use. Like, of course you're going to use. People did that after my son died, you guys. My 17-year-old son died in an accident, and I was straightest person on the planet before he died. And after he died, that was everybody's thing. Everybody brought me alcohol. Everybody did. You know, of course, you know, if your son died, you drank too. And that wasn't okay. You know, everybody was doing the best that they could, but that wasn't okay. And it wasn't, if your son died, it's okay to get drunk 24/7. It's, you need some help. Get some help. Find out what the challenge is, figure out what the emotions attached to the event were, and learn to live and live again, and hopefully at some point be of service to the rest of the universe if you can be. So yeah, so I love that part of that movie, and I really do love that movie too, because it shows his struggle pretty well, doesn't it, Nancy?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and where you see like when she's throwing the pills out the window and she's like, what are you doing? You know, when she goes to jump out the window after the pills. So I thought that it was funny, and I like the actors, but it was a pretty good depiction of addiction. You guys, I also told you guys the movie Thanks for Sharing. is it's about sex addiction. And you guys, we know it's not about whatever we're picking up, right? It ain't about the food. It's not about throwing up. It's not about anorexia. It's not about alcohol. It's about why we do the things that we're doing. And it was I thought one of the best depictions of addiction. I've seen the movie 3 times, and all 3 times I cried like a baby after. I thought a really important movie to see because it was very truthful about, you've seen it, really good movie about addiction. So thanks for sharing that.
Have you seen Clean and Sober?
Pardon?
Have you seen Clean and Sober?
Part of it. I saw part of it. I heard it was great.
I thought that was very good. Michael Keaton was great in that.
I heard that too. And you know, also you guys, in When a Man Loves a Woman, at the end of that movie, where she says, and I told him that he made me feel worthless and he made me feel small. And we do that to ourselves, man. Nobody does that to us. I get the chills when I say it because it's true. You made me feel and you made me feel. Nobody makes me feel nothing. I choose to feel the way that I feel and I choose to see the world the way that I do. So thanks for sharing that. It was awesome. Thank you. Angeli. I know you're typing, baby.
Yes.
Do you have a second to share?
Uh-huh.
Okay. She's like, uh-huh.
What?
Would you like to share about
Oh.
anything?
Not particularly.
Oh.
Today or this week was good. I started working, well, I'm always working on my recovery, but a little more proactively, and that's been a little different or difficult because I guess and I've said this before, as we change and we grow in our recovery and sometimes regress a little bit, things change the way they play out, and so I got to see that. I need some work in certain areas like acceptance. I think Karen had mentioned that as well, and so that's something that I struggle with a bit too. Yeah, so I'll continue to work on that, and I think it's for me, it's a little bit of a thing where I get to see too that I don't want to say no matter how much recovery you have, but I'm going to say no matter how much recovery you have, there's always something to work on. This month I'll have a year and a half, 18 months, and there's still a lot of areas that I can improve in.
Yes, there
Yeah.
are. And that's okay,
Yeah.
right? And then when you take a look back at where you were 18 months ago compared to where you are now, it's funny too, you guys, we change, and in so many ways we stay the same. And so it's constantly working on the same part that we work on changing for the better. Because as you say, I was an addict for 52 years, and that doesn't change overnight. And our thoughts and feelings and the way that we view the world, that doesn't change overnight. And so, okay. Okay. So thanks for sharing that.
And just to add,
Yeah.
the point of me saying all of that is that I expected it to be different. You know, I expected that I would be fixed or cured or whatever, but when I really think about it, I do have to be grateful, not because that's what we're taught in recovery, but I do have to be grateful because the place I came from a year and a half ago is completely different. Like, it's a complete shift. I'm not even the same person. And so, yeah.
Do you have to be grateful, or are you choosing to be grateful?
No, I choose to be grateful.
Right. Choose to be grateful. Choose. Some of you choose to do your gratitude list. I haven't done it 2 nights. 3 things that you're grateful for and your strength for the day. Put it up on Facebook page. Do whatever you need to do to change your perspective a little bit to get yourself out of your head. 3 things I'm grateful for and my strength for today. Sometimes it makes that little bit of a difference, that perspective change. How long do we have?
We got another minute.
Oh, another minute. You want to share real quick?
I'll defer to my daughter.
Daughter, do you want to share? Okay, well, daughter, it's so nice to have you here. Good morning. You look so happy to be here. We all look just like that when we first came into the rooms. So, I don't know about you, but I was pissed off and discontent and fucking hated everybody. And didn't want to hear a word about what anybody else was saying because, again, nobody knew what it was like actually to feel the way that I felt. and nobody knew what it was like to be me, which is the truth. Nobody does know how you feel, and nobody does know what it's like to be you. We all know what it's like to wake up in the morning and want to use more than we want to breathe. We all know what that looks like. So whether we're 15 years old or 115 years old, those feelings are the same. And so my hope for you is that you'll show up and explore whatever. And you know, as they say, you can always go back to being miserable. You know what I mean? If you decide that you want to see what change looks like a little bit. So welcome here today.
So I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. Firstly,
We're touching on.
I wanted to say thank you so much to the people, our production team, Ahmed and Angeli.
They just
who-
got promotions.
They
They get raises for
did.
those promotions.
They did. But when we say
Thank you,
gratitude,
guys.
these guys show up at all the meetings. They're helping getting the message out. They're reaching different people all over the world. And honestly, we are extremely grateful for it. We're also grateful to West Broward Club for this amazing meeting room. And you know, one of the things that we do, we're a community. And what that means is by us sharing, not only do we learn from each other, but we also get to know each other better. So when we're struggling, we have friends that are there that give us support, that are non-judgmental, that basically love us no matter what we do, or just because we are trying our best and doing our best to do our best. And that's how they support us. So in order to get to know me a little bit as well, I just wanted to share something. Today is the night of Rosh Hashanah. I'm Jewish. It's something I'm very proud of and love being Jewish. It's very much of who I am. It's also the first Rosh Hashanah that I have without my mother. She passed away last year. It's a big deal in our family because we've always been very community-based. We've always had loads of people in our homes because we honestly believe, no, if someone celebrates and they don't have a place to go, this is a home to come to. And we've always continued that tradition because as a traditional Jew, it's very special to me. And I just wanted to share some of the meaning of Rosh Hashanah with you quickly. Because it's really about Teshuvah. And Teshuvah, there's no real English word for it. It really means returning. And it means returning to the way that we were, and it's very spiritual. So it's that spiritual way that we were used to be. The purpose of it is really, you know, we spend so much time in our day focusing on other people and where they're at. So one day where for us in the diaspora out of Israel, spend 2 days of self-reflection, of self-meditation, looking at spiritually how we're doing. You know, what have I achieved? Where am I at in my life? Have I fulfilled my potential? How far have I come? So really, this has got nothing to do with anything material other than in a spiritual place of looking at where we are. And as important as this is, and it's something we should be doing every single day, and some people say it's taking your inventory. For us, we're given this opportunity a couple of times in the year, but especially at Rosh Hashanah. It's not a new year where we go out and get drunk, and that's not the purpose of it. This is, you know, from a Jewish perspective, and for traditional Jews, we believe we were put on this earth for a purpose. It wasn't a random act that you were just put on here and things happen haphazardly. You're here and your purpose is a spiritual purpose. And because of that, our life has meaning. And because of that, we are meant to be in service and live with gratitude and say the things that we say, because that's part of the journey. So for anyone that's out there that's celebrating, I just wanted to wish them all Chag Sameach and Shana Tova. And really, this year is exciting for me because I've got a house full of people, and it's not to please them, it's because it makes me happy. And just a sweet year.
So Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, everybody out there.
Thank you. So we will be getting together again. I just want to apologize. We do have some issues on Facebook. This new place comes with new challenges. We are working out the technical stuff and we are improving. So we meet up again on Thursday. Oh no,
not this
This
Thursday, we
Thursday
don't.
there's no meeting. So we meet up again next Sunday. So mark it in your calendars, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you're in Davie, South Florida, come join us in the room. It's a local meeting. It's an awesome meeting. If you are out of the area, just log into our virtual waiting room and you can join us that way. Just make sure your speaker's on and that we can hear you. And also we have the workshop coming up on October the 20th. And my request for anyone out there is that if you have enjoyed what we're saying or you get something out of what we're doing and you can identify with where we're at and what we're sharing, share it with other people that may benefit. You know, recovery is, I was brought into recovery by a friend. I never knew about it. I knew something was wrong with me. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what to call it, but I knew there had to be something else. And my friend introduced it to a friend, because recovery is absolutely awesome.
Hard work, definitely worth it.
Yes.
Definitely worth it.
So workshop 10/20th, sign up. It is great because, and it's not great because you know, the rah-rah thing. It's great because it gives you that focused time to work on yourself. And it's hard work, and most of us don't give us that gift. And I see it as a gift, you know, because it's those couple of hours that all we're doing is dedicating to ourselves, not to marinate in what's wrong, but to really marinate and look at where we are and how do we get healthy and how do we get out of this place that has kept us so sad and miserable and demoralized and guilty and shameful for so long. And that's what it's about. It's about stepping into the solution, because recovery really is amazing. It gives you a life. It gave me a life, and I'm grateful.
Yeah, and I'm grateful as well. And I'm so blessed and grateful to be in recovery. This was our Why Wait for Recovery Sunday morning community meeting. I'm Dr. Felice Cellini.
We have
Thank
5
you.
minutes.
Oh,
Anyone
we
want
have
a last
5
minute
minutes.
share?
I didn't even know, so I thought that's why we were doing all this.
That's okay.
So we have 5 minutes. Okay, Mom, so let's go ahead and hear from you.
I really don't have anything. I'm very grateful to you ladies for being so innovative and doing something a little outside the box as far as recovery. You know, I spent many years in AA meetings, and I just felt like I needed something else. And the fact that you're addressing, you know, the food and, you know, the self-esteem issues, and I appreciate that. It's something that I'm very happy that you're doing, and I'm glad that my daughter got out of bed and came. We've been through a rough week, a rough 2 weeks. She's been through a lot, and I hope that she pursues this.
Yeah, and so right now you're scared. Right, you're crying, so you're scared. So you have your kid here and you're scared, and that's okay. You know, you're a mom and you're worried about your kid because you love her, and that's the way that it is. And we've all had people sit in those chairs crying for us, you guys, because what we don't realize is that, you know, we think, first of all, we're in active addiction. If everybody else would just leave me the fuck alone, man, I'd be fine. Right? How many people thought that? If everybody would just leave me in my room and leave me alone and let me do what I'm doing, and I'm not hurting anybody anyway. You want to talk to my kids about how they felt about that? You want to talk to my parents about how they felt about that? You want to talk about my sister who didn't talk to me for a year? We're like this. Because she's like, I can't worry about every time the phone rings, whether you're dead or not. I can't worry about it anymore. You're killing me. And so we learn that our addiction is so much, even though in ourselves it's about us, it still does affect the other people that care about us. So good for you. You know, good for you to at least be able to say to your kid, I'm scared, right? Without judgment. I've been there and I'm scared. And I'm going to tell you that it's as pissed off as you might be right now. It's still a whole lot nicer. We all sat in that chair, and it's still a whole lot nicer sitting in this chair than it is in that chair. As scary as it is, you know, I want to read to you. I want to read something to you after, but I read to you guys that there are 5 words that are part of every addict's vernacular, and they say in there, you know, the thought of living with our addiction is scary, but not as horrible as the thought of living without our addiction, right? What do I do when I wake up in the morning and I don't use? What do I do when it's Tuesday and I don't use? What do I do when I'm scared? What do I do when I'm happy and I want to be happier? What am I going to do that's ever going to be okay or fun or anything, right? How am I going to live that life? Laura, you been there? How am I going to live? How am I going to hang out with people? How am I going to do anything clean? Like, shit, who wants to do that? Angie? Oh, we have 1 minute. Okay, so now they told me it is time for me to stop talking. So now I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. My name is Dr. Felice Cellini. This is our Sunday morning Why Wait for Recovery community meeting. You guys, thank you so much for being a part of my recovery.
And my name is Heidi, and I'm so blessed and grateful to be here today. And just thank you for being part of my journey and allowing me to be part of yours. And also, if no one's told you today that they love you, I love you.
And Happy New Year, you guys.
Happy New Year, Chag Sameach, Shana Tova. Peace out, everybody.
Peace out, you guys. Recovery is awesome.